Good evening and welcome to the Simply Colorful FiberCast in the new studio. Welcome. I am so excited to be here. I bet you can't hear the band. I can hardly hear them. It's like coming home again. I have missed my place up here. Welcome. For all of you who are new to FiberCast, oh, there's my computer too. It just made a noise. I missed that. Grab a project. We're going to make something in the next 60 minutes. It's amazing what we can get done in 60 minutes. So here I am. I have a new island. It of course came yesterday without the top. So we're waiting for the top, but I love it. It's going to be this big. I have a couple of stools here that I'm going to sew at. I'm going to be able to cut. We're going to do some AccuQuilt cutting tonight. We're going to be making a jelly roll race quilt. My sister KB made it out at the Missouri Star Quilt Company a few months ago, and I actually just watched the video. There are several of them online, fatquarters.com. Jenny Doan has a tutorial, and it's going to be fun. I had these in my stash, and I have this. I'm going to make a variation whereby I have squares in between each of my pieces, my strips. So that's what we're going to do. As always, send me emails to say hello at lmarquidon@gmail.com. Oh, that's the one thing I didn't do. I've set up my iPad so I could answer people's comments on YouTube. Excuse me. And I'm trying to get all of my accounts together so that I don't miss anyone. And the Lynn at simplycolorful.com is the only one that I haven't linked all together, but I will do that. I'm always saying that, aren't I? This is not a good track record. But for those of you like Linda in my Quilt Haven who had trouble getting to me last night, I apologize. When I set up YouTube, I set it up so that it was going to be recording last night. So I apologize for the confusion. Whenever I set up YouTube, it automatically goes back to the day that you're setting up the event. And so I have to remember, it always reverts back to that day. And I always have to say, no, it's not today, it's tomorrow on Friday. So I apologize. 8 p.m. Friday night, this is where we'll be in the studio. I posted a video on Patreon for patrons out there. Thank you. Thank you for your support. For anyone who might not be yet a patron, go on out there, pledge $1 a month, $2 a month, whatever you would like if you are enjoying what you're seeing here on FiberCast, and you can see a video of the studio. It's not all complete. I'm still waiting for the table. I actually ordered 2 tables. 2 dining room tables that go together, and then we're going to have chairs around it. So we can comfortably, I think, very comfortably have 4 people sewing in here. But I think we could go to 6 or 8 even eventually. So, and the lights, we switched out all the lights in here. So they're high volume LED lights. I love them. And we don't have to have tracked lighting, although there still are dark spots around here. But for the most part, I couldn't be happier. So let's get sewing. I pulled out my AccuQuilt, and I have to say not everything that I had packed away when we embarked on this studio redo has been unpacked. A lot of it is still upstairs, and it's okay. I'm going to keep it there. I'm still not organized as much as I would like. In fact, I'm going to get a label. No, I'm not going to get a labeler, but I'm going to label some of my drawers so I know where things are. But first things first, what I wanted to do was cut out some 2.5 inch by 2.5 inch squares of this pretty peach fabric. You know, I'm wondering if there's an echo in here. There used to be carpeting, now it's all hardwood. And as I'm talking to you, I'm thinking maybe it's echoing. So let me know if that's distracting. I'm not quite sure what we'll do about it, but we'll figure it out. So I want to cut 2.5 inch by 2.5 inch squares. It is so easy with this tool. And I could, but I'm not going to. I could put 4 layers, but I'm just going to do 2 layers. And I just crank it through. This is the peach fabric that I bought a whole bolt of when I went down to New England Quilt Supply, because it is flesh color and I'm going to use it for my dolls, but it also is going to work well for this charity quilt. And there we go. See how fast these cut? And they're 2.5 by 2.5 inches. I have 40 strips that I'm sewing together. Now, Jenny Doan says you can do this in 60 minutes. There's no way. You guys know, and you know the way I chit chat. There's no way I could get this done in 60 minutes. But if we can at least get maybe 40 of these sewn onto 40 ends of these, that will be good. And all together. What we're going to do is we're going to sew it end to end to end, all of these strips. End to end to end to end to end to end. And then we're going to fold it in half and sew. Fold it in half and sew until we end up with a big lap size quilt, which may not be big enough for the raffle. This is, because I'm not quite sure where or how long we'll be raffling this quilt. This is for the Cape and Island kids. This is for Cheryl Hitchens. She is very involved with the University of Massachusetts and different programs that they offer for Cape and Island children to go to college. And she has she's a physician's assistant. She got her degree at UMass and she's taught there. I think she teaches at Bridgewater State, I think. Anyway, she's been very involved, and she was the cousin at whose house we stayed when Mom was on the Cape, coming up on 2 years, well, a year and a half ago. Mom, it seems like forever. Speaking of Mom, if you're out there, I will see you tomorrow night. So, I have to tell you, I went to Pinwheels and Friends, the show today, and I saw an ironing, I don't even know if you could call it a board. It's like a Cadillac of ironing boards. Jean, if you're out there, I want to know if you've bought one yet, because I know Jean needs hers customized. But the reason I bring that up is because my iron is way over there right now. And this ironing table was fabulous, and it sits on top of an ironing board. In fact, I brought their brochure here. They're called TNT Quilt Boards, custom-made ironing boards, designed by a quilter, built by a quilter's husband. From Lunenburg, Mass, it's Tracy Kennedy. And if you want to see them, go to www.tntquiltboards.com. She had all different sizes, and they're just everything from a portable ironing board, they're all square, to one that looked perfect for if you were doing ironing, say, in front of the TV. It was like on a stand that you eat on. But then the big board, the Cadillac, was that one. And let's see how big it says. Okay, she calls it the Great Board. It measures 66 inches by 24 inches wide and weighs 28 pounds. It's ideal for easily pressing large yardages of fabric. It's over 20% bigger than other extended boards and is designed to easily slide onto your standard sized ironing board that's up to 16 inches wide, or sit flat on tabletop. Wow. Anywho, it looked good. So one would be correct in saying I'm very spoiled. I found myself thinking, this is the last studio I'm ever gonna have. For good or bad, right? Okay, so I have all of these. Now what I'm going to do, oh, and I just dropped half of them. Stay right there, don't move. Don't move. I'm getting used to this new setup. Woohoo. Ta-da! There. Okay, now use my good scissors to cut plastic. A no-no. I forget who suggested to go look in my Dear Jane box of blue fabric for my mother's scissors. But I did it and I couldn't find them. So I don't know where those scissors disappeared to. Okay. Timeless treasure Tonga treats. Woohoo! I need a little dust. What do you put things in? Trash can. Ah! Oh, these are pretty. Okay, so the key is not to mess them up, I think, but to keep them in this order. I don't know if you can, I hope you can see that. Aren't they yummy? They're sherbety. Okay, so what I'm going to do is move this over a little bit. I decided I'd just stick with my two different colors of Aurifil because I still have not found my extra bobbins. So the bottom still has blue Aurifil, and the top I brought back this orangey Aurifil. And this is Batiks, and I'm not sure I know which side is right or wrong. So how are we going to do this so that, this is going to have to go, I know. I'm just going to go through all of them, putting this on the end. And just have to make sure to keep them in that order. I never knew that the name Jelly Roll Race comes from when you have a group of your friends together sewing. Let's say you all bring some Tonga treats and you all decide you're going to make this quilt. The race comes when you start to sew the long strips together. Which I didn't know that. And you do. You just kind of put the pedal to the metal and you just sew. An alternative to putting this square here is I could be sewing them on an angle. And that looks good too. I thought of that, but I wanted to use my AccuQuilt, to tell you the truth. Here's classic. I wanted to use my AccuQuilt. So here's what went through my mind today. I wanted to use my AccuQuilt tonight, but I didn't want the mess of lots of scraps. So I came up with this. Plus, I thought for a quilt that is going to be not raffled off, but just chances taken on. Yeah, I guess it's raffled off, duh. I thought these standard colors might be more appealing. They're so pretty and bright. I like the scrappy, and I like things that are a little bit off the beaten path, but I think this might appeal to more people. At least I'm hoping so. I'm hoping it's big enough. So send me pictures of what you're working on. Here at FiberCast, we're almost well, finishing up our 3rd year. So we're, oh, I cannot even believe I just said that. Can you believe we're going to enter our 4th year next year? Oh my goodness. Sandra, out there in Mississippi, I wanted to say a special hello to you. And I wanted to talk about Veterans Day. And I saw that you had a relative whose picture you had posted up there. Thank you to your family and to him. And I'm going to read a little bit about Veterans Day in a few minutes and how it used to be called Armistice Day and the reason why November 11th is Veterans Day. It's because World War I, the fighting was stopped. There was a treaty on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month of 1918. And yes, I did just look that up and I just memorized it. Don't ask me next week because I'll have to go look it up again. But then it took, I think it was 9 months before the war was officially ended. And like I say, it was called Armistice Day. I don't know why it was called Armistice Day. I have to go look that up. And then later on, it was renamed to Veterans Day. Our school students had it off. So they had a double bonus this week. They had the day of voting off, and they had Veterans Day. Have to tell you about my voting experience. Felt good to do. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Remember last week I said just go vote. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I was so excited to go vote. Or I thought it was my duty. I just felt like I needed to do it. And I actually woke up very early and I ended up going up to Cumberland Farm up in the center of town at about 5:45 in the morning. This was last Tuesday, so not that long ago, right? 3 days ago. And the man at Cumberland Farms, the owner, had just brewed coffee and it was delicious. I got myself a cup of coffee. And he told me that they had just sold $1 million lottery ticket. So that was very exciting, and he was clearly very happy about that. So he sent me on my way. It was still dark, of course, even though we fell back last week and we had daylight savings time. It was still dark at that point, but it was starting to get lighter. So then I get in my car and I drive up to the middle school and I park, and there are a handful of cars, maybe 10. And I figure that's good because I checked the night before and the polls I knew opened at 6:30. And years ago, I was an election worker for one time. I just had so much going on, I didn't continue it. Kind of wish I had, but believe me, being an election worker sounds more glamorous than it is. It's hard work, and it's a long, long, long day. Anyway, I parked in front of the entrance that I have always gone through, and where, as an election worker, I had entered in the past. And I'm sitting there enjoying the nice coffee. It's hot. I'm probably surfing Facebook on my phone. I'm looking down. I'm sitting in the car. I've got the heat. I'm still running the car because it's still a little cool. And the sun comes up, and then I'm hearing a few more people coming in. This is a long, roundabout way. There isn't much to the story. Anyway, cuts to be 6:25. No, maybe 6:20. And I realized, no one's lining up at this door. Well, it turns out people were lining up behind me around the corner at another entrance to the gymnasium. Fortunately, I saw it, and I was able to get over there, and maybe I was 20 in line, and it could not have been a smoother process. The doors opened within minutes. They had us by precinct, 4 different precincts in town. It was easy to find which one I was to vote at. I went, I did it. There were plenty of polling stations, and then when I went to the other side and voted in, it just went right into the machine. And I was able, when I walked into the gymnasium, they had a table that they had set out for you to put your coffee on. So I couldn't bring my coffee in through when I voted, but they allowed me to put my coffee there. One of the volunteers said he promised he would not drink it. I went, I voted. On my way out, I picked up my coffee back. It was still hot, and I went on my way. That's a good experience. And this is a new town clerk, and he is rocking it. So, anywho, that was Tuesday. I don't know why I got on that subject, but look at this. We're already through half of our stack. Isn't this pretty? It's so yummy. This is going to be a fun quilt. How about last week with the band coming in at the end? I did not know they were going to do that. Bob did not tell me. And that is so out of his character. He's really a very shy guy, which you wouldn't know. Those who know him, he opens up to, but he is very shy. Okay, let me do one more, and then I'm going to see who's out there. Send me texts. I think both Jean and Chris, who are some of our local quilting friends, I know you've heard me talk about before. I believe they're both out in Sturbridge still playing a quilting game with all the people who are at Pinwheels and Friends. That was a fun show today. Maybe that's what I was starting to tell you. I went out there mid-morning, took a little break from work, and saw some great vendors. In fact, I brought a few of the cards so I could share them with you. And I wanted to share with you that ironing board. Orders can be placed online, by telephone, email, or in person. If you do happen to order one, tell her that Lynn from Simply Colorful sent you. Oh, Ben! Oh, thank you, Ben. So my cousin Ben is writing to tell us about Armistice Day. He says, Armistice Day marks the day the armistice was signed between Allies and Germany. 11 o'clock on 11/11. Looking good, Ben and Violet. Thank you. So an armistice is a truce? Is that what an armistice is? That's where I was getting caught up on. I'm glad you're out there. You guys have to come up and see what Uncle Bob did. Everything, all the details. He redid what do you call it? A door jamb. It goes out to, there's a little deck over there. We did that today with a piece of wood from our neighbor across the street. So Russ, if you're watching, Russ and family, thank you. It's a beautiful piece of oak that he had to custom cut with his little jigsaw thingy. And he said it took forever. It was a very solid piece of wood. He was thrilled. So Violet, I don't know if you caught the purpose of this particular quilt. It's going to be included in a charity or a raffle, not a charity, but a raffle for scholarships for Cape and Islands students to go to UMass. I definitely wanted to support that. I always say to my nieces and nephews, to anyone actually who will listen, people stop listening after a while. No one can ever take an education away from you. So, and education can come in all forms, right? It doesn't have to be through a formal college or university. In fact, certainly I'm seeing it in my industry, you have to just retool all the time. So online, you ever heard of MOOCs? MOOCs? Massive online colleges. Online courses. I don't know what the second O stands for. Isn't this pretty? It's so limey. Oh, Ben and Nicole and Violet and Reed. I'm actually coming down your way tomorrow night. I have a full schedule tomorrow. I'm going to a doll making workshop in the morning. I'm meeting Sarah. So Sarah, if you're out there, and Pat, if you're out there, I'll see you at 9 for coffee. Gee, there's a theme here, coffee. And then the workshop starts from 9:30 to 12. We're going to work on our It's My Doll, It's My Party doll. We're taking an online class through careful. A for Artist. A for Artistic. I forget what the name of that course is too. Look it up. Look for Adele. Anyway, then we have our Textile Tarts meeting that starts at noon. Everyone brings their own lunch. We'll have our lunch. We'll catch up. We'll show each other. We'll do show and tell, show each other what we've made. We'll work on the Native American dolls. I made up 15 kits earlier this week, so those are ready to give out. And then we're going to fill up the display case there at the Northborough Library with some holiday dolls and bears and ornaments. And that's about it. Oh, and then I'm going to get in the car and drive down to see Mom. Bob and the dog are staying here. And then tomorrow we'll go cut greens for the wreaths, the kissing balls. I have to tell you, this island is so sturdy. It's so much better than the other tables I've been working at. I may have to sleep in this room. And I realize you can't really see it because I can't move the camera. That's on my list. Maybe in 2017, after I knock off a few more UFOs, which I did post, 2 new UFOs are done. My Nutcracker ornaments and my Scrappity Doodah quilt behind us. Posted those on simplycolorful.com. And I'll knock a few more off. And once I do that, maybe I will create a list of things to tackle in 2017, one of which will be a camera that can move around. Because in addition to showing you my own studio, which is it's all about me, right? What I really want to do is take that camera on the road and come see your studio and share it with others. And we've talked about it. One more here. And then we're going to be just sewing up a storm. Okay. Let's see. Look at those flags. Hoo-hoo. Oh. Oh, isn't that pretty? When you go online and look for Jenny Doan's tutorial, on making this jelly roll race. It's so funny because she gets to a certain point and then they speed up the video and they play a song. And she's just pushing it through. It's a good video. Like I say, she says you can make this whole thing in an hour. That seems pretty ambitious. Oh, hello, Sue. Sue says, welcome home. Thank you. She says, I'm so happy for you to finally be back in your studio. I wouldn't miss the inaugural broadcast after the big remodel. Looks beautiful, just chilling now, but tomorrow we'll be baking apple pies and a little more quilting. Good for you. I love your posts, Sue. They're so great. Enjoy your weekend. Yay. And Dawn, oh, good. This is good feedback. Dawn says, definitely an echo in the studio. You need more quilts on the walls to dampen the sound. I do. You're right. We're going to have to work on that. And a few of my hooked rugs finished. In fact, one of my UFOs is that big 2-dog rug. And I was going to bring it down after Thanksgiving. And that would help, putting a few of those on the floor. And I say it's not that big. But thank you for letting me know, Dawn. Dawn says she's sewing blocks together on the mystery quilt she's working on. Aw. And she says, your fabrics are lovely. Can't wait to see the quilt progress. Have fun, Dawn. Thank you. Did you by any chance go over to Becky McDonald's new studio? When I saw Kelsey and Jean today, they said it was lovely. So we'll have to go over there. Oh, and Gay, hello, Gay. She saw the Patreon video of the studio. It's like a minute long. She says, lucky lady, it looks great. Thank you, Gay. And Delwyn, similar, looks lovely, Lynn. Thank you. How are you down under? Linda, I hope you're out there. I am so sorry about the confusion over setting up this FiberCast for yesterday. You must have been frustrated. Cassie, hello. Look at what you're making. It's Cassie, Sandy, Cassandra. I wonder, you guys are never going to be able to see that. Well, in here is a basket full of granny squares, and they're very bright colors. They would go with this, and she framed them in black. Aww. Let's send some love to Sandy. Sandy is out there, and she's been doing some crocheting and some knitting because she's liking the immediate satisfaction of it. She hasn't been feeling like quilting lately. Oh, so we have to give her some inspiration. How about a jelly roll race? Do you have any jelly rolls in your stash that maybe looked good 3 years ago or whenever? This I've had in my stash for years. You would have been proud of me today. Speaking of stash, I only bought one thing. And it is a panel of campers. Because another UFO I have, as you all know, is my camper quilt. Check out the intricacy of this panel. I love this, and it's going in my quilt, each of these panels somewhere. So there's that one, this one. Look at the bridge on this one and all the campers. And then there's one up here. No, let's see where it is. Oh, this one. Can you see the campers way up there? They're everywhere. They're like rocks. So that's what I sprung for today. And that's going to be a nice addition to that camper quilt that just can't seem to get finished, but it'll get done. Okay, let's get back to this jelly roll race. Now, the trick is, and it will be an easy trick, we're going to cut one off. And I'm always going to sew. Oh, I'm hearing the dog bark now. I have to make sure to keep the seams all in the right. Oh, you hear the dog? Okay. So now we cut this one off, the next one. This is not racing like, is it? But now I'm just sewing them end to end to end. KB, I remember you saying this was a little boring, if I remember this right. I don't know if I'm bored, but I'm certainly getting confused. Oh, that dog. I may have to cut this a little short, which I hate to do. Oh, can you hear her? She needs something. Okay. Well, I think after all this excitement of the new studio, she probably has to go to the bathroom. Okay. I can leave this right here. Let me see, make sure that I've got everyone who's out there and said hello. Kelsey, hello. She says, greetings from Sturbridge. Great seeing you today. Wish you could have stayed. Oh, me too. Have a blast. Say hi to Joyce and Jean, Jean Infinity, and Chris. Oh, I have to go get that dog. Let me see if we've got. Aw, KB loves the studio. Hey, KB, thanks. Did you hear it? Now I'm echoing. I'm gonna have to fix that. Sandra, hi, Sandra. Absolutely beautiful. Great job, she says on the studio. Thank you. Carol. Oh, good. Carol always sends pretty pictures. She says, hi, Lynn and all the FiberCasters. Hope you and the FiberCasters have a good week. I'm still working on presents and currently working on a couple of table runners, but the fabric I thought I would use for the border of the purple one does not go as I hoped. So tomorrow, or should that be later today, I'm going to the fabric shop to see if I can find a better fabric. Oh, don't you love it when you have to go to the fabric shop? Sometimes you just do. Oh, I love it. Oh, but I see what you mean. Are you saying that border doesn't work, right? But the fabric I thought we used the border. I agree with you. It's too busy. I'm sorry. People probably can't see this. That I'm going to have to figure out a different way of doing. Huh. Well, I love the runner, though. Thanks, Carol, for sending that. Aw. And Sandy says, hi, I came in late feeding my herd of kitties. You're so cute. Well, I had said hello to you earlier. I'm glad you're here now. She says, I have another rescue kitty inside as she got her leg caught in my fence and my neighbor had to open up the fence with a crowbar to get her out. Couldn't catch her the next day, and finally last Saturday morning she was at the door to eat. I could tell her foot was broken, so I managed to get her in the crate and took her to my vet. Oh, good for you. By then gangrene had set in and the doc had to remove her leg. Aw. But she's doing really good, so now my one-eyed kitty Glory will have a baby sister. Praying they get along. Glory helps me sew. Ha ha. So we will see what Fluffy likes. Hugs from Sandra in cold Mississippi. Well, oh, bless your heart. That is great. Fluffy and Glory. I like the name Glory. That's very fitting for our day here. here on Veterans Day. And now I hear the dog not barking. I heard Bob come and get her so we can keep sewing. Yay. Oh, I'm so glad you're all out there. Okay. So this is working. I cut it one at a time. And I take this and I go down to the other end of this. Violet, if you're still out there, this would be a really good quilt to make if you wanted to do another one. Just something to think about. I say as I get all confused, no, it's fine. You're going to see after we sew all of these together, we actually cut off about 18 inches on one of the starting strips so that all of these differing fabric changes actually happen in the middle of the quilt instead of on each end. If that makes sense. You'll see what I mean. You'll see. This, we're going to have to work on next week too, though. I cannot imagine being done with this in the next 40 minutes, or 20 minutes. I'm liking these colors. So what else? We saw Michelle Banton at Pinwheels and Friends today, and that was nice. She had taught a class, some sort of printmaking class. It was more of a art is type of class than a pure quilting. So that was really fun. Michelle Banton is another teacher in and around New England. If anyone needs a good teacher, she gets high marks. She's been doing it a long time and she's quite creative. Oh, and I saw those scissors, the K Buckley scissors, KB Buckley. I hope I have that right. I didn't buy them though, because as you know, I already have quite a few set of scissors. This would be a good project when you go on a quilt retreat. In fact, I can so picture my sister Karen doing this when we were out in Missouri. She made hers out of blues, and then she used stark white squares, which really looked good. And I think that quilt went to Alexa. I could be wrong. Who's coming home from Alaska. That will be very fun to see her. Oh, we have been sprouting chafing dishes. Here's some more news on the home front. The show will be about the home. With Thanksgiving coming up, and we'll have probably 20 to 25 people. We're going to do, I may have mentioned we're going to do a buffet this year. We're not going to do the sit down. And so, pretty traditional food. Bob has been on a quest to get some chafing dishes to keep the food warm on the buffet. So he literally I think, did I tell you that? No, I didn't tell you this because it was the day after last FiberCast. So last Saturday, he came down with his briefcase. He's all dressed up. I think he's going to show property or do something very official. He says, I have to go to Connecticut because there's a chafing dish for sale for $15 and I need to go look at it. So off he went. And then I got a text from him and he said, yep, that was good. He got it. It had never been used. He was on his way to the Cape because there was another chafing dish that looked good too. So, and then Jean Infinity there suggested we were laughing about it the other day, and she made a really good suggestion that one of her family members had suggested about keeping like your gravy warm and maybe mashed potatoes in a crock pot. I thought that was a good idea. And you know, I personally, I'm okay with it not being hot, but I do know that people do enjoy their food warmer if they can. Reminds me, I have to go pick up some gravy at Outpost Farm before Thanksgiving Eve. I'm going to pause in a minute and we'll read a little bit more about Veterans Day. This is a pretty yellow. Okay, let's see what we've got here on Veterans Day. I thank you all for being out there. Isn't it fun to sew together? Do something like this. Okay, this is from the Office of Public Affairs, U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. So it's the history. And it says World War I, known as the time as the Great War, officially ended when the Treaty of Versailles was signed on June 28, 1919. Remember I said the treaty was signed later than the fighting stopped? Fighting actually ceased 7 months earlier when an armistice, here's the definition of armistice, a temporary cessation of hostilities, which is what Ben said, between the Allied nations and Germany went into effect on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. For that reason, November 11th, 1918 is generally regarded as the end of the war to end all wars. In November 1919, so a year later, President Wilson proclaimed November 11th as the first commemoration of Armistice Day with the following words: "To us in America, the reflections of Armistice Day will be filled with solemn pride in the heroism of those who died in the country's service and with gratitude for the victory, both because of the thing from which it has freed us and because of the opportunity it has given America to show her sympathy with peace and justice in the councils of the nations." The original concept for the celebration was for a day observed with parades and public meetings and a brief suspension of business beginning at 11 a.m. 11, 11, 11, 11. I like that. I never heard that. The United States Congress officially recognized the end of World War I when it passed a concurrent resolution on June 4th, 1926. Holy cow. Took them a long time. Wow. They didn't have the internet then, clearly. So in 1926, so 18, 19, 20, 8 years after fighting had stopped, they say, whereas the 11th of November, 1918, marked the cessation of the most destructive, sanguinary, that means blood-filled, I bet, and far-reaching war in human annals, and the resumption by the people of the United States of peaceful relations with other nations, which we hope may never again be severed. And whereas it is fitting that the recurring anniversary of this date should be commemorated with thanksgiving and prayer and exercises designed to perpetuate peace through goodwill and mutual understanding between nations. And whereas I'm almost done. Whereas the legislatures of 27 of our states have already declared November 11th to be a legal holiday, therefore be it resolved by the Senate, the House of Representatives concurring, that the President of the United States is requested to issue a proclamation calling upon the officials to display the flag of the United States on all government buildings on November 11th, and inviting the people of the United States to observe the day in schools and churches and other suitable places with appropriate ceremonies of friendly relations with all other peoples. I like it. Let's see. The dog is outside the door and it's locked. Hi, Allie. Will be good if she doesn't bark. Oh, let's see. Poor thing. Veterans Day continues to be observed on November 11th, regardless of what day of the week on which it falls. The restoration of the observance of Veterans Day to November 11th not only preserves the historical significance of the date, but helps focus attention on the important purpose of Veterans Day, a celebration to honor America's veterans for their patriotism, love of country, and willingness to serve and sacrifice for the common good. Well, thank you again for all who have done that for us. Okay. And on we sew. So the reason that's quite symbolic that the dog could not get in here is because, now she's an old girl. What is she, 14? Going on her 15th year? Yikes. When this had carpeting on it, and when she was younger, she was going to the bathroom in here. I'm not proud of that. It was disgusting. And she's much better now that we're home, working from home, or Bob's here. And we do cater to her and take her out quite often, but she just can't come in here now. And I'm okay with being that stern, because as a result of that, Bob literally had to pull up the under flooring in this room. He tried putting some sort of, I don't know if it was peroxide or antioxidant or something on it to get the smell out and didn't work. The stains out. So not only was it a lot of work, it was expensive and unnecessary. But they are our babies. And so this quilt behind me that I made for the shop won't go in. And so we love our dogs. Our dog sleeps right with us. That's probably too much information for some people, but she sleeps right there with us. And so we can't put this quilt on the bed until she doesn't sleep with us. I tell everyone I'm heading to Austin next week. So actually we have to talk about that, because even though earlier in this show I said we'd be doing the jelly roll, we won't be doing it next Friday because I will be traveling home. I leave there, I don't know, 3 or 4 in the afternoon. I get home here. I get to Boston by 11. So I will probably do FiberCast next Saturday. So Linda Griffin, it's going to be confusing again, but I'll send you an email. I also was curious for patrons out there, Patreon subscribers. When I post something there, do you get another email? Does it go to your Facebook feed? Kind of curious about that. And the reason I'm asking is I don't know if I should be posting everything there or just content that's above and beyond what we already put on Facebook. I'm thinking we do just what's above and beyond, but let me know if that isn't working. Ding. So back to the chafing dishes. So I guess we didn't have quite enough despite going to Connecticut and the Cape. So Bob wanted to buy one more on Amazon today. Actually, he wanted to do it last night, and I dissuaded him because he needed my Amazon account, my Prime account, so we could get free shipping. And I don't know if you guys are like this, but I can never find my passwords. It's always a big deal because I don't use Amazon very often and yada, yada, yada. So we finally go, I dig it out today. Doesn't work, don't you know? So we have to reset it, and they send us a new code to the phone. And after all that, he gets in, he finds a dish, chafing dish. Couldn't use the free shipping from Amazon Prime. We're getting there. For those of you who do any online shopping, though, and even a couple of times a year, it does pay. Shipping is so expensive. Amazon Prime is great. In fact, I need to get a couple of links on the Simply Colorful website so you can get to Amazon Prime through that. In fact, Bob did that last night. We were sitting there, and he went to simplycolorful.com. He was able to click on the Amazon link. He got through, and then he needed my password, and I didn't have it. So, unfortunately, I can't give you all my password. That wouldn't work the way it was intended. But I think if you do get to Amazon through the Simply Colorful website, I think if you do buy something, we get a finder's fee. It doesn't cost you any more. It's a penny or two. But that would be really appreciated. I gave away t-shirts today when I went out to Pinwheels and Friends. That was fun. Of course, I tend to buy the t-shirts quite big. And I had already given out my small. I had one small, one medium, a couple of large. And then I had 4X and 3X. And I tried to tell people, I asked people not to be offended. It's just what I had left, and they could sleep in it. They could I don't know. Cut it into 2 maybe. The new ones are green. Oh, that's one other thing. For anyone who's on Patreon, who maybe, I think I've sent everyone your t-shirt. Please don't be shy. If I've not sent you the t-shirt and I owe it to you, please let me know. I think I'm okay, but I want to make sure. This is cool. We're going to have a whole chain ready to rock and roll. I think I have 2 or 3 more ready left. How are we doing for time? Oh, look at that. All right, let me finish this up. It's amazing what we can do in an hour. Jenny was right. I could get them all sewn together. See, she sewed them all together. 2 more, and then we will sign off. So while we're preparing to sign off, I want to wish everyone a really good weekend. For those of you in the UK, sleep tight. For those of you down under, happy Saturday. Allie and Wendy and Peggy. For all of you across the country here in the lovely United States, I hope you sleep well. You deserved it after this week. Tell people, start thinking about the holidays in a good way. Know that we'll be here to keep each other company through them. And we'll be playing in the new studio. So if anyone is around town, come on over, come see the studio. Thank you for joining me here tonight. I really appreciate it, as always. Let me stand up and say goodbye. I'll see you next Saturday. So not Friday night, because I'll be in Austin, but Saturday. And have a great week, everyone.